What is up, sports bettors? It is Matt Modi here with OddsJam, coming to you with three sharp NFL picks for week one. So, for my betting process, how I go about starting, of course, first thing you got to do, check the OddsJam Positive Expected Value page. Using OddsJam, you can get an edge over the sportsbooks that normally hold the edge over you. So, this first bet that I really like is this New York Jets versus Baltimore Ravens. We are taking the Ravens minus 7.5. I think this is a really good bet for football reasons. I also obviously like it for math reasons because it's positive expected value. I've actually already locked in the Ravens minus 6.5 on a video for the OddsJam YouTube channel, but I still love the Ravens. I think getting an extra point, getting it at plus 115 odds is really valuable. And to talk about the math behind it a little bit. So again, we got it at plus 115 on FanDuel. The no vig odds for this play price this at about plus 112, plus 113 if you round up to plus 113. So the gap between plus 113 and plus 115 gives you your positive expected value of about 1.11%. Now I know that doesn't sound like a lot, just getting a 1% mathematical edge. But keep in mind that this is just one bet and that this bet will be settled on Sunday, September 11th. So you'll know in 8 days from now, you'll have this profit realized. You'll know whether the bet won or lost. If it wins, obviously you get all of your profit. If it loses, you lose all of your risk. But over time, you will notice that your mathematical edge, your profit margin percent here, will start to equal your actual profit, which is why this number makes sense, which is why we use this and consider it your profit margin. So one thing that I love to do before deciding whether to lock in a play, especially for a point spread and a total, well, for every market, but specifically for a point spread and total, is you click into a play and you view the event page. So if I open this in a new tab, it'll pull up lines for every major sports book and what they're pricing their odds at. So it's cool. They have the main lines up here, the first thing. So you could just look at the main lines. But for FanDuel, we are actually betting an alternate line. We are getting the Ravens at minus 7.5, minus 7.5, which is right here. So the only other book that is giving odds for this, aside from the OddsJam line being, let me move my camera so you can see it, being the sharpest line in the world, this line right here, pulled from Pinnacle Sportsbook, the sharpest sportsbook in the world, prices this at plus 104. The only other book that gives pricing for it is Fox Bet at minus 105, and we're getting it all the way up at plus 115 on FanDuel. So I love this one. I think it's a really good bet. This is just going to be a half unit play for me because of the plus money, because I already have the Ravens locked in at 6.5. Even though you're getting it above that touchdown number, I do still think it's valuable. So getting it at plus 115, half a unit play. And I went over the handicapping purposes and my logic behind it in a previous video. But just to give you the spark notes of it, just look at Ravens week one history. So the past 5 years, let's look at how the Ravens have done. Past 6 years, this was in 2016, a long time ago. So we'll actually take this one out. Let's look at the past 5 since they've had Lamar Jackson. Beat the Bengals 20-0. Beat the Bills 47-3. Beat the Dolphins 59-10. 2 years ago, beat a Cleveland team that literally made the playoffs, that had a good year, 38-6. And then last year, their first loss in a while, losing to the Raiders 33-27 in a wacky overtime game. The Ravens have had a pretty much pancake schedule. Week one, 5 of the past 6 years, and they have absolutely dominated their opponents in this game. They're going against the Jets team that stinks, that is starting Joe Flacco at quarterback. Joe Flacco, who hasn't won a start since 2019 when he was on the Broncos. He went 2-6 with the Broncos, and then he's been 0-5 the past 2 years on the Jets. I love the Ravens in this one. Honestly, I would take them to win by 10 plus for the odds you could get. I absolutely love it. So this is my first one, Ravens minus 7.5. My next play is a positive expected value play in the Chiefs versus Cardinals game. So if I want to, and just to show you another function of how OddsJam works, if you use the search function, it'll pull up all the events, and I want the Chiefs versus the Cardinals. And the play here is on the total. So admittedly, the total is priced up pretty high. 53.5, I think, is one of, if not the one of the highest totals in week one. But I really, really like it. So you can get it at -105 on FanDuel. And FanDuel is the only book that is viewing this as viewing the over as the least likely scenario. They have it at -105. They have the under at -115. They're favoring the under. Every other book either has it at even money or is favoring the over. BetMGM, even money. PointsBet, favoring the over. Caesars, even money. Tipico, favoring the over. BetOnline, FoxBet, even money. And then the OddsJam line from Pinnacle, favoring the over. And again, we can get it at -105 on FanDuel. So another way of knowing whether a bet is positive expected value or not is just put in the no vig, or excuse me, you want to remove the vig and find the no vig true line. And the way you can do that, the no vig fair odds, is by adding in both sides of what the OddsJam line is pricing a play at. So in the no vig fair odds, you type in -114, -101, puts the true line of this at -106, and we are getting it at -105 on FanDuel. So this is another positive expected value play backing the Chiefs and Cardinals game to go over. And this is another game I really, really like for handicapping reasons. The Chiefs, and this has been pretty much since Andy Reid has been there, they always start hot on offense and they always start slow on defense. You know what that leads to? Points. The Cardinals are another team that starts hot and then ends the season slow. A lot has been made about the Cardinals' slow starts, but the Cardinals' slow finishes. They're bad finishes. But in order to have a bad finish, a slow finish, it means you have to start fast, which is exactly what the Cardinals did. I mean, think last year they started 9-0 or 10-0 before losing their first game. I mean, just look at the Chiefs' schedule last year. So Chiefs 2021 schedule. I just look at the point totals of the games they played last year. So we want to go to the beginning of the year. So week one, they gave up 29 points. They scored 33. That went over. Week two, they gave up 36 and they scored 35. That went over. Week three, 54 combined points. That went over. Week four, against the Eagles, 42-30, 72 combined points. That went over. Against the Bills, 68 combined points. That went over. It wasn't until week 6, so their first 5 games all went above this total. It wasn't until week 6 when the total went under, and that's only because the Commanders couldn't do jack. They still put up 31 points. In week 7, they gave up 27 points, but they couldn't score. They only scored 3. So betting on points to be scored at the beginning of the year in Chiefs games is a smart bet, which is exactly what I locked in. The Chiefs over 53.5 plus 105 on FanDuel. This is going to be a full unit play. I do really, really like this one. This is another bet that I think has a lot of value. 1 unit, Chiefs, Cardinals over 53.5 minus 105 on FanDuel. That is bet number 2. And bet number 3, another total play, this time in the Lions versus the Eagles game. So this is actually another total. If I search Eagles in my history that I've also already locked in, I got it at over 46, and look how much that beat the closing line. So this shows you how valuable it is to get in on an early line, but I still like it at 47.5 at minus 120 on Fox Bet. So if you want to open up the event page, and I can close out of some tabs here, just to make things a little bit easier. And let's see. So we are buying a point to get it at where we are getting it at 47.5. But every other book is pricing this at 48.5. And most other books, except for PointsBet in this case, is actually either favoring the over or thinking that the over is at least even money at 48.5. And we're getting it a full point lower at minus 120 on Fox Bet. The OddsJam line prices that at minus 134. The other side of it is priced at plus 117. Puts the no vig odds of this play at about minus 121. We see the other book that is pricing this is Caesars, having it at minus 133. So getting it at Fox Bet at minus 120 is a pretty big value. And again, just looking at the holistic betting market, I mean, the OddsJam line thinks that the most likely scenario is that this total is going over all the way up until over 49. As you can see here, 49, they still think that the most likely scenario is that this total goes over, pricing it at minus 108 and the other side of it at minus 104. Again, we are getting it a full point and a half lower than that at 47.5. Granted, at minus 120 odds. I still think this is a really good bet. So I'm actually going to put a unit and a half on this one. I'm going to put 150 on this one on Fox Bet. Eagles, Lions to go over 47.5. And my logic here is just, I think the Lions had one of the worst defenses in all of football last year. The Eagles had a poor defense last year. The Eagles upgraded their offense a ton. I could see the Eagles putting up close to 30 points in this game, and the Lions probably getting to like 20. So that's kind of how I think this game is going to shake out. So those are my 3 sharp NFL bets for week 1. Lock those in. If you do, let me know. Love to hear your feedback. Let me know, even if you don't lock them in, what I got wrong, why you're fading me is totally fine. Other than that, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel, and that's it. So I appreciate you guys watching, and have a good one.